Hey, my friends. Thank you all for tuning in to part two of the hot mess that a gang of rowdy migrants pulled on two NYPD officers during early February 2024. I covered most of the details in part one, but for those of you who haven't watched it yet, I'll just start off with a brief recap of some of the details from part one. Let's get to it. In early February of 2024, a group of migrants, fresh off the boat, were involved in an altercation with the city's finest, the New York Police Department. The incident escalated rapidly, resulting in a full-blown attack on the officers, leaving the city in disbelief. These migrants weren't just any newcomers seeking a better life. Instead, they were part of a larger conspiracy that has been unfolding right under our noses. Authorities discovered that these individuals had been using stolen phones and Apple Pay to execute purchases ranging from cars to pools, all the way back in their home countries. Sounds like a clever form of loot and plunder to me, and after being released without bail, these migrants then fled to sunny California via bus. Immigration warrants were swiftly issued, and the hunt was on once again. Oh, and I did find out their reasoning for releasing the perpetrators the first time around. Check this out.
NYPD looking for 7 more suspects after a group of migrants were accused of a brutal attack on 2 police officers in Times Square. One of the suspects flipped his middle fingers at reporters after being arrested allegedly for the assault. CB Cotton is live in Times Square with the latest. CB?
Hi, Arthel. Well, police sources told us this week that some of these migrant suspects were here in Times Square committing crimes to include pickpocketing just prior to the initial attack. Now the New York Post reports some of these suspects were shoplifting at this store here in Times Square. Take a look. The NYPD had some of its officers here today. The store manager telling the outlet some of the men came in last Saturday, stole several handbags. She said at that point she called the police, and the assault happened shortly after, right outside the store's doors. She said the migrants, quote, jumped the police officer right there. It's insane. So investigators believe some of these suspects who were arraigned and then released are now headed to the California-Mexico border. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg has taken a lot of heat after his office only requested cash bail for one of the suspects. Bragg said yesterday his team was being cautious.
We do not tolerate people assaulting police officers, but in a court of law, and our profound obligation is to make sure we have the right people charged with the right crimes.
The NYPD tells us these suspects can go wherever they please because they were released on their own recognizance. If the men don't return for their next court appearance, that's when a warrant will be issued. Charles Marino, a former DHS senior advisor, says he doubts these suspects will return if they're headed to California.
I wouldn't doubt for a second that once they arrive in California, they're met by Governor Newsom, who provides them with a taxpayer-funded gift basket consisting of a new cell phone, a bank card, and their free health care.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul said multiple times this week she feels bail should have been requested in this case. She also said at one point she thought these migrants should also be deported. Now, she said she had a conversation with Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, but she wouldn't elaborate on those details. Arthel.
CB Cotton in Times Square in New York City.
I just don't get it, folks. Did you all hear what Manhattan's DA Alvin Bragg had to say about releasing the suspects without bail? He said that they needed to be sure that they were charging the right people with the crime. How much sure can you get with them right there on video with the officer's hands right on them? Really, Mr. Bragg, I've always thought American law went something like guilty until proven innocent. Now, there's no logical chance or reason to believe they'll ever be recaptured to face the criminal charges and punishment that they rightfully deserve. Let's wrap this up with a word on the matter from Fox and Friends.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says that the city will present charges to a grand jury tomorrow against the illegal migrants accused of attacking a pair of NYPD officers in Times Square last week. Bragg vowing to hold those responsible accountable despite not yet identifying all the suspects. Here with the reaction, retired NYPD Detective Dr. Oscar Odom. Doc, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
When you look at the video and then you see the aftermath of them flicking off the press, how are day-to-day cops that are on the beat reacting to this?
It's a big outrage. You know, we go out there every day and put our lives on the line to make sure that the public is safe. And then here it is, you have something on video and with sound, and the police are being assaulted. You say, you know, exactly what am I doing? And if I can't get any justice, what do we expect to happen for the public? It's unbelievable to see. It's actually on camera, and then you're not going to do anything about it.
You know, Doc.
My point exactly. Alrighty, my friends, that'll wrap it up for today's episode of Life and News with Elle Reed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more trending topics and updates on the continuing crisis at the border. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye for now.